Hello.
Ahoy!
Welcome to episode 16 of season 2 of Bottom of the Stream.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard. How are you today,
I am good.
Nick?
Very good, Adam.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to be in your company.
And you. So feeling is mutual. What have you been up to?
I've just been playing football.
Just been playing football. That's a bit active.
Yeah, I know. So I'm in shorts, but not the
They're
shorts.
not the regular podcast shorts, but they are still podcast shorts. So I'm going to let you off this week.
Yes. Thank you very much. No, I'm very good.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, not bad. I've hurt my foot.
Oh, no.
I don't know how. It just hurts.
That's what happens when you get older.
I know, yeah.
Stuff
It's just aging
hurts for
bodies just falling
reason.
apart on me.
Yeah. New decade, old foot.
Yeah.
That's
maybe
what
I'll just
they
have it
say.
chopped off and not have a foot.
You could get a peg leg.
Oh, like a pirate.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be well suited for the boat.
Oh, that's a good idea. I might do that.
Yeah, look into it.
What shall I do first? Shall I run through the socials?
Yep.
Socials. Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, please, at BOTS_podcast. We've just gone over 1,000 followers. So come along and join us in there. Instagram, it's the same, at BOTS_podcast. Facebook.com/bottom of the stream. The website is www.bottomofthestream.com, where you'll find every episode we've ever recorded. And both seasons stream tables. I don't know why I said it like that. It fell out my mouth wrong. Also, join us on Patreon, which is at www.patreon.com/bottomofthestream, where you'll find loads of little cool benefits to coming aboard the stream boat with us.
Yeah, there's 3 tiers to choose from. All the details are on there, so
yeah, go and check it out, please. That'd be really cool.
If anything tickles your fancy, then feel free to sign up.
We've had 2 new Patreons this week.
Yay!
Yay! Welcome aboard, Ross and Jordan. And they joined the $10 tier, so they both get a wild card.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
At some point, they're going to interrupt us and make us play a wild card film. So that could be fun to look forward to.
I do wonder what we've got ourselves into here.
I know, yeah. It's quite worrying, isn't it? That's it for the socials, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just go and check us out on patreon.com, please.
Very professional as always.
Thank you. I'm getting better at it. There's like nearly 50 episodes in now.
I know. How's that happened?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Mental. Been watching anything good at the top of the stream this week?
What have we watched? We have watched some things, and we'll just have to take a second to remember what the hell they were.
Can't be that good then.
No, I don't think they were that. I'll tell you what we have watched, but not on Netflix. Oh no, it was a bit on Netflix actually, because it's all over the place.
Okay.
So I had never seen Gavin and Stacey.
Oh right, never at all.
No.
Wow.
I might have seen like the odd minute, or 2 here and there, like famous clips and stuff. So for anyone outside the UK, this is James Corden's sitcom.
Yes.
That hasn't had a new episode for 10 years.
10 years,
and then they did a special on Christmas Day.
They did.
Which apparently a quarter of the population of the UK watched.
Yeah, apparently so. So most watched scripted TV episode of this decade. And
blows
the
my
most
mind.
watched comedy for 17 years.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Considering I really don't like James Corden, I quite enjoyed watching it because it's not many episodes.
No,
they only did a couple of series.
Yeah,
didn't they? So,
3 series.
Yeah,
8 episodes in each, something like that.
I enjoyed it.
More
Than I thought I would, actually.
You're right, some of it is on Netflix, but not all of it.
No.
I've watched it all recently as well. I rewatched it all over Christmas.
Had you seen it before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Christmas special was really good.
Yeah, it was.
That's not on Netflix yet, but I'm sure it'll get there at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that went through that. That was good.
Something else that was not originally on Netflix, but is now on Netflix was Dracula. Did you watch that?
No, I've got it. I've got it to watch.
It's absolutely incredible.
I know. I've heard it's great.
It's really, really
great.
great.
It's the same team who did the Sherlock.
Yes.
So the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman Sherlock series. So I'm very excited to watch it.
So it aired over 3 nights on the BBC, and then on the 4th day joined Netflix straight away. So yeah, it's really good. The second episode is one of the best bits of writing I've seen in years.
Excellent.
Yeah, really good. Really well worth watching.
Yeah, I am. Have you watched all 3?
I watched all 3.
Yeah.
As they were being broadcast. I never watched broadcast TV.
Wow.
And I watched them as they were being broadcast. But yeah.
A rarity on your nice new television.
On my nice new TV.
Yeah.
I've also watched most of the 2nd season of Lost in Space.
Okay, yeah.
Which has been really good. Well worth waiting for. It was a long time between those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The kids doubled in age.
Has time passed in the show, or did it go straight on from?
No, it's literally carried on.
Okay.
But he's like 3 foot taller now than he was in the 1st season.
It happens.
It does. Kids grow up. Look, it happened in Lost, and look how they dealt with it. But yeah, that's really good. Have you ever watched Lost in Space?
No.
You should do. It's good. You'll enjoy it.
Just got so
I know there's so much good TV about.
Just
watching
the movies for this is
I
obviously the priority.
Time to watch these movies.
And then everything else is just Yeah, I've got a very long list.
I know what you mean. I have as well.
And a life as well, as you have.
Oh, I haven't got one of those, no. I don't have one of those. Have you got any Netflix news for me? I've got a little bit.
Yeah, I've got a little bit. So we're coming up to awards season.
We are indeed.
So it was the Golden Globes.
Yeah, did you see Gervais?
Yeah.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Tim Cook looked like he wanted to murder him.
I know.
That was really funny. If you've not seen Gervais's opening monologue at the Golden Globes, check it out. This just tells the truth, and it's really funny. I don't even really like Ricky Gervais, but I did enjoy that.
Were you with us when we went to see him live?
Yeah, and he did about an hour.
He did, if that. I think he did 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I don't like him. I've never liked him ever since. It was so expensive.
Absolute waste of money.
Travelled all the way to Birmingham to watch him, and his support act did almost as long as he did.
Yeah, absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was. I've never really liked
him.
I do
like a lot of his stuff. That isn't like
Afterlife's really good.
Yeah, we mentioned that the other week.
That is really good.
I really liked Derek.
I couldn't get into Derek. I struggled with Derek.
I liked Extras.
Yeah.
I wasn't. The Office is fine.
The Office is the way it is, isn't it?
I prefer the American Office.
I've never watched that.
I watched a few of them.
No,
the other night. They were just on.
Are they on Netflix?
No, I don't. Well,
are they on Amazon?
Don't think they're on Netflix in the UK. They may be in the US.
I think they're on Amazon. They're on somewhere.
It all gets very complicated.
It does, doesn't it? There's too many streaming services. We're going to get Disney in March.
I know. That does link to a little bit of, well, it's not really news, but it's something I had noticed the other day, and I think it popped up on my Instagram or my Twitter. But there is now a streaming service for almost everything.
Yeah.
So an advert popped up for it's Dan Snow, the historian, does all these documentaries, and he was advertising a documentary streaming service.
My goodness!
So all it is historical documentaries.
Really?
Yeah. And there was another one which was just stand-ups.
Oh.
So just stand-up shows, stand-up comedy shows.
It's mad, isn't it? You could literally spend a fortune on all this TV.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So everyone's getting in on the streaming game.
Yeah.
And that would be really interesting, just to go serious for a minute, to see how Netflix does in 2020.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to have had so much competition.
No, definitely not.
It'll be interesting to see, what drops off, what stays on, and
apparently they didn't see a noticeable drop when Disney Plus launched.
Okay.
Which everyone was expecting them to, and they released a statement saying they'd not noticed a noticeable drop.
Yeah,
I don't know how true these statements are, but
no, because Netflix. I was reading something else saying Netflix counts a watch as 2 minutes of a thing.
Yeah.
However long the thing is. So 2 minutes of The Irishman counts as you've watched it.
Yeah.
It's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah. I've still not watched it.
No, me neither.
It's going to become one of those things, isn't it? They're just never going to watch it. Right, what have we got? Do you want to do yours first, or shall I do mine first?
I'll do mine. I could have done a more seamless link because part of mine is to do with The Irishman. So the BAFTA nominations came out today.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And Netflix productions have had 23 nominations.
That's
over
the
various
whole,
categories. 10 for The Irishman.
10?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll just pull a couple out. So
yeah,
best picture, Irishman's been nominated. The Two Popes has been nominated for.
I've not seen that yet. It's Anthony Hopkins, isn't
Outstanding British film.
Yeah.
Best director for The Irishman. The Great Hack, best documentary nomination.
I've seen that. That's all right.
Klaus, best animated film.
Never did watch that.
We've been watched a few times in my house. It's good. It's good. It's got a really nice style to it.
I saw the trailer, I
think. Marriage Stories had quite a few nominations.
Haven't seen that.
So that's Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver.
Oh yeah,
both been nominated. And yeah, Laura Dern for the same film, Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes.
It's done pretty well for Netflix then.
Yeah, Pacino, Pesci, yeah.
Pesci's been nominated.
All nominated.
That's
supporting actor. And then a whole slew of effects, costume, all that sort of stuff. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
That kind of seemingly seamlessly segues into my bit of Netflix.
Amazing.
So Netflix did a Twitter, you can do like Twitter follow-on tweets where you can do like one of 20 tweets.
Yes.
Well, they did one of those on the 3rd of January this year, a few days ago, where they announced quite a lot of their original content that's coming in 2020.
Okay.
Films, not anything else.
Yeah.
So I've picked out a few highlights. I just want to run a couple of these past you.
Have you gone top? Is this sort of stuff that they're
possibly
getting behind?
Some of them definitely will be, but then some of them we might come across them
okay.
towards the end of the year. You never know. So the first one that struck, I think they did there's 30 films announced on this list. And the first one that struck me was a film called Mank.
Right.
Have you heard about Mank? M-A-N-K.
I think I have, but you're gonna have to jot my memory.
The story centres around the writing of Citizen Kane.
I have
and
it. Yep.
Stars Gary Oldman, Amanda Seyfried, Charles Dance, and Lily Collins. Directed by David Fincher.
I have heard of it. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be quite a big thing for Netflix to get Fincher involved. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, but I think certainly if it's the same sort of tactics they've used to get Scorsese, which was
just give him whatever he
full
wants.
control. Yeah, if you want to make it 3.5 hours long, you do it.
Yeah, especially if it's about the writing of Citizen Kane. So.
Yeah,
you never know. The next one that came up on the list that I found quite interesting was that they're remaking Rebecca, which was a Hitchcock film from the 40s.
Yeah.
Ben Wheatley's remaking that, starring Lily James and Arnie Hammer.
Okay.
So that's going to be an interesting one. Then there's a film called Da5 Bloods, DA5 Bloods, which is going to be directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
And that follows 4 African-American vets who return to Vietnam searching for the remains of their fallen squad leader.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Starring Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, is he the Black Panther?
Yes, I hope. Yeah, he is. Eurovision.
Is it Will Ferrell?
It's Will Ferrell.
I've heard of that one, yeah. I didn't realise that was Netflix.
Yeah, Rachel McAdams and Will Ferrell going to be in that.
You're definitely going to be watching that.
No. Then there's a film called I'm Thinking of Ending Things,
Right.
which is written by Charlie Kaufman.
Okay.
Who hasn't written anything for a while, I don't think. His name doesn't come up as much as it used to.
No.
Kind of late 90s, early 2000s. But then the one that really, when I read it, I had to read it a couple of times to see if I was reading it right. This is a film called Crip Camp.
Crip Camp?
Crip Camp.
Sounds problematic. Could be problematic.
You would think so, because it is down the road from Woodstock in the 70s.
Yeah.
A revolution blossomed at a ramshackle summer camp for teens with disabilities,
Right.
transforming their lives and igniting a movement. Directed by Nicole Newman and Jim Lebrecht, but executive produced, now this is what caught my eye, executive produced by Barack and Michelle Obama.
Really? Wow.
So, and it's called Crip Camp.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting
I'm sure
one
that'll
to
make
keep your eye open for.
a few headlines later in the year.
That's when I read that, I was like, I'm not sure I'm reading this right. That seems a bit weird. But also, Ryan Murphy's got one coming out, which everybody loves Ryan Murphy, don't they?
Yeah.
He's got a film called The Prom, starring Meryl Streep, James Corden, and Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
There's loads on this list.
Excellent.
If you go to Netflix UK's, it's Netflix Film, at Netflix Film, they did that tweet feed on the 3rd, so
Brilliant.
there's loads on there.
Not
But
very
they were
good.
just the highlights. Yeah, Obama's getting into movie production.
Well, why not?
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
pretty much anything you want after you've done that job, I suppose.
Yeah. So, anything else?
I think that pretty much covers us.
So, should we talk about this week's film?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, this week we talked about a film called... No, let's start that again. This week we watched a film called Small Crimes, did we not?
We did.
Which is a...
I instantly got Small Soldiers stuck in my head. And that's just the way
It
my
definitely
brain
wasn't
works.
that.
No, it certainly wasn't.
No, Small Crimes is from 2017. It is a 15. It is an hour and 35 minutes long, currently rated at 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and is a Netflix original.
Yeah.
We haven't done many Netflix originals this season.
Not so many, I
About
don't
that.
think.
Not as many
no.
as we did in the first season, I don't think. So, yeah. Stars Nicolaj Coster-Walder as Joe, who you will...
NCW, that's what I like to call him.
That's an easier way of
Yeah.
saying his name. I didn't realise that English isn't his first language.
Well, no, I think I knew that.
I don't think I knew that. He's
Yeah.
Danish.
Yeah.
And English and German are his other languages. You will obviously know him from Game of Thrones. That's probably the thing he's most famous for. Played Jaime Lannister.
Yep.
The incestuous Kingslayer. Also stars Robert Forster, who plays Joe Sr., as Joe's dad, who you will know from Jackie Brown, which he got an Oscar nomination for, Olympus Has Fallen, Mulholland Drive, the finale of Breaking Bad, and obviously El Camino, a
Yep.
Breaking Bad movie, which he unfortunately passed away on the day that was released
He did, yeah.
of brain cancer. And also stars Jackie Weaver as Irma, who is Joe's mum, who you will know from the Silver Linings Playbook, and Bird Box, if you've watched Bird Box.
Yeah, so a pretty good cast.
Yeah, decent cast, not bad.
Now, I have to point something else out as well.
Go for it.
This was written
Yes.
by probably if we were to have a bottom of the stream Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
I
which
think,
we will one day, I would imagine.
I think this guy would probably be in it.
Yeah, definitely.
So Mason Blair,
Yes.
and where have we come across him before?
Mason Blair wrote Murder Party.
Yeah.
And starred in Murder Party.
He did.
And also, did he write or direct Hold the Dark?
He wrote Hold the Dark.
And also starred in that.
Yeah. Well, he
cameoed
cameoed
in that, shall
in
we
that.
say. Like he cameos in this.
And he writes this.
He does. He's written this as well.
And I think certainly not Murder Party, which again we mentioned last week, but
Yeah.
certainly Hold the Dark was a Netflix original.
It was, yeah.
And so was this. So he's obviously got some sort of deal
He's a bit of a Netflix boy.
with them. But so I did a bit of reading. So his next project though is away from Netflix. So he
All right.
is writing and directing the reboot of The Toxic Avenger.
Oh, right.
Do you remember that?
No.
TV kids. Well, it was a
Vaguely.
cartoon.
Yeah.
It was like a crappy movie in the 80s.
Yeah,
80s.
very vaguely remember
And
it.
it was a kids' TV show as well. So
Oh,
they're
right.
rebooting that, and that's his next project. But here he is again.
This is
So,
the third time he's popped up on our show.
yeah.
He dwells at the bottom of the stream alongside us.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, interesting. So let's see if so far he's 1-1 so far, isn't he? He's one successful film. Hold the Dark came quite high up in the stream table at the end of last season,
Yeah.
and Murder Party did not.
Yeah.
So he's 1-1. One success, one failure.
So let's see how we go.
See how we go with this one. So we will start talking about small crime. So where does it start?
So we start with Nicolaj Coster-Walder's character.
Yeah.
Nicolaj. It reminds me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. My son, Nicolaj.
Nicolaj.
And he's on his last day, or the last minutes, in fact,
Yeah.
of his time in prison.
Yeah, he's in a prison cell. Well, he's talking to a priest, isn't
Yeah. And he has a bit of a chat with the priest.
Yeah.
And then he's being processed and
he? Yeah,
released.
he's basically been in there for 6 years, and he's saying he just wants...
The studio boat is falling
I
apart.
just dropped something. Apologies. I don't even know what it was.
Your foot has fallen off.
Oh, no. Yeah, so he's been in prison for 6 years. This is his final moment, so he's just talking to the priest before he leaves. Then he gets kind of processed through and just chucked out the door, straight into a taxi, where we see him travelling kind of back in his taxi and takes him back to his mum and dad's house.
So, and this is the first time and this is a recurring theme throughout this film, you see the taxi driver glance
he
back
gives
at
him a
him.
Dirty
And
look.
so everyone in this smallish town,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
knows who this guy is and what he's done.
Yes.
That's certainly
although
what
at
they
this
tried to
point,
get across.
We don't.
No, we don't.
We have no idea. And yeah, so he goes back to his mum and dad's house. His mum's not in. They're not expecting him. I presume he's not told them he's coming.
I think that's, yeah.
But
that's
his dad is there. So, and they kind of have a bit of a chat. His dad obviously is played by Robert Forster. He basically tells him, look, all your stuff from your apartment was repossessed or whatever, and all your stuff's now downstairs in
we
the
saved
basement.
some of the stuff.
Yeah, some of your stuff's downstairs. So you've got this they've set up a room for him in the basement so he goes down and has a look through his bits and bobs, his possessions.
Yep.
And finds some pictures of his kids. He's got 2 girls.
2 girls and a wife.
A wife, yeah. And he goes back up and talks to his dad about them, doesn't he? And his dad says he hasn't seen them. They kind of lost contact while he's been in prison. Intentionally.
Yeah, so they basically broke off contact with him.
Yeah.
And his dad says, well, that was the same for us. We've had nothing to do with them either.
We haven't seen your family for 6 years.
And that was their decision.
Yeah.
And we can't blame them, to be honest. It's basically the message that comes across. And obviously, Joe's not happy.
No, he doesn't accept that because this obviously the only thing that's got him through his 6 years in prison is getting back to his family and what have you. So he heads off to the local library.
Yeah, he takes his dad's truck and he's off to the library.
Yeah. Now, before we go on, is there any indication of when this film's set?
No, not particularly. But I don't think it's current.
Not looking at the state of the computers in that library.
No.
They were like CRT monitors and unless it's a really badly funded library.
And in the motels later on.
Yeah.
But motels can be shitty.
Yeah.
But
nobody's got mobile phones.
No. And for me, no, I can say this now, it doesn't spoil anything.
Okay.
But when he's in the motel later on,
yeah,
and there's an advert playing while he's just sitting waiting.
Yeah.
It's for a car or something.
Yeah.
And it's the cheesiest jingle. And that felt really dated as well. So
are we saying late 90s, early 2000s?
I think it might be 80s.
Really?
It's
no,
never
the internet.
specified.
He searches the internet.
Yeah, true.
So it's got to be mid to late 90s.
Maybe mid to late 90s then. But that stylistic choice was definitely there.
It's
not set now.
No, it's definitely not set now, but it's not important to the storyline.
No.
But it just when he went in the library, I was like, oh, so we're not set now, but we've not had any indication of when we are set.
Yeah.
Because he goes to search on the internet to try and find his kids.
Yes.
And he manages to search a few things up, and he finds a telephone number, and he goes to a phone box. So nobody has a mobile phone in this film.
No, they don't. Right.
So he goes to a phone box, and he dials the number, and his daughter picks up, and he has a bit of a chat with her.
Yeah, she's like, my dad.
What? Yeah, because obviously the kids are not very old, and that she doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about. And then his ex-wife gets on the phone and basically cuts him off.
Yeah,
says no.
Just as he leaves the library, the librarian gives him the same look as the taxi driver did as well. Yeah, and his wife says, "Don't call her again."
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you.
We've got an Well, she says agreement, but what she means like court.
Yeah.
Agree, as in
custody.
Custody.
Kind of,
yeah. And she says, "I'm pressing charges if you call again."
Yeah. So obviously this doesn't go down very well with him. We should point out as well that he's been sober for the whole time that he was in prison.
Correct.
Because he was a alcoholic.
Yeah.
He's got this token that he carries around with him, hasn't he? Which I presume it's like a 6-year token. I don't know.
Yeah, it's however long sober, 5 years, 6 years,
6 years sober. Yeah. But after this phone call from his wife, he heads to the local bar.
He does. He walks. It's powered on a bit thick, to be honest. He walks past it and then it goes back to it. Yeah. And then he's sitting at the bar. Am I going to drink this shot? Am I not?
And he's going to. It's never going to not do it. And he's kind of sitting there. He's just got a shot of vodka or some sort of clear liquid. And this is where our friend Macon Blair shows up.
Yep. Who
plays a character called Scotty Caldwell, and he buys him a drink. He says, "Cause I think Joe was more of a friend of his brother's.
Who was his
brother's best friend?
No, he was. Well, yes, maybe So Scotty was Joe's brother's. He was. Oh, no. Let me say that again. Scotty was Joe's partner's brother.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense.
So in the police force,
yeah,
Joe's partner, who is now deceased,
yeah.
which we are told, Scotty was his brother. And so he says, "Look, I'll do anything for you. You need anything from me, you just come and tell me."
Yeah,
because I know you looks after Joe. You looks after Billy.
I think he was called.
Sorry,
there's a Bill and a Phil in this, and it's quite confusing because they're both like side characters.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I really picked up about this film is that the way it explains things is terrible. There's the explanation of what's gone on.
I had to put subtitles on at one point.
Really?
I'll tell you when we get to that.
Okay.
Bit, just to clarify what was going on.
I'll get to the end. I'll get to my point in the end, but it's really difficult to keep track of what's going on
because they're talking about a lot of people who you never see.
Yeah.
And you like
and a lot of events that you'd never see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because there's that. We talked a lot and we've moaned a lot about when films that we've seen just dump a load of exposition on you.
Yeah.
And spell it out. This is like the other end of it.
There's a fine line between
It's a bit of that like mumblecore.
There isn't any exposition in this film.
Yeah.
There isn't anything. No explanation of what's gone on.
So you've got to have your wits about you a bit watching this.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one you've got to concentrate on.
I was watching it, concentrating on it, making notes on it, and I still couldn't quite grasp what was going on. So you really need to use your brain. And then just after Scotty Caldwell leaves, this lady comes up to him.
Yep.
And she's kind of flirting hard. She's all over him. She's rubbing his arms.
And he's not interested.
He's not interested in the slightest, but he kind of gets swept up in it a little bit, and they leave together.
Yeah. Well, he's giving her a lift home.
Yeah.
I
think her expectations
are different. Yeah.
She asks him for a lift home, and then they kind of pull over in the middle of nowhere, and she just whacks her face into the dashboard.
Yeah, that was good. One of the best bits in this film.
Yeah, because it just came out of nowhere. She was talking fine and natural.
Throws her own head against the dashboard.
And then she just
whams
her own face into the dashboard out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? What has she done that for? And just as she does that, two blokes come along. Blokes. Oh, I'm so British. Two gentlemen come along and grab him out of the car and start beating him up.
Yeah. So it's an ambush.
Yeah, it's been ambushed.
Essentially.
Yeah. Except he kind of wins.
I think so, and I quite like that as well. So, because the glass has been smashed,
you never see outside
the driver's window.
Yeah, you see the fight from inside the van.
We're looking out. Yeah, we're looking out through this smashed window, so everything is hazy,
and you can hear what's going on.
Yeah,
but you never see it, and
there's blood sort of throwing up the window.
Yeah, and then his face kind of appears back at the window afterwards.
So essentially, I think Joe won this fight.
Yes, I think he did. But then it cuts straight to. He's in the police station.
He's back in the slammer.
Back in the slammer already. We were like 20 minutes in. And he thinks he's been arrested. And this guy, the policeman comes in who's called Dan
Pleasant.
Dan Pleasant.
Lieutenant Pleasant. And this is my first big gripe with this film.
Go on.
So, Lieutenant Pleasant is played by Gary Cole.
Yeah.
And
another big star.
He is absolutely criminally underused in this movie.
Completely.
He is tremendous in the most
movie,
things he's in.
The whole film changes every time he comes on the screen.
Yeah.
It like lights up.
Because he waltzes in for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Drops a load of F-bombs.
Drops some bombshells. And
yeah. It's just, he's a force of nature in this.
Yeah, he is.
He's in 3 scenes.
I think it's because he's so much better than everybody else who's in it. And his character is definitely the best character in it.
Yeah.
But he's in like 3 or 4 scenes, like you say. And it kind of comes a bit later on with the taser. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just comes in and just acts everyone else off the
completely
screen.
in like 3 little scenes.
I wanted him in with this far more.
Yeah, I agree. So they're kind of in the room on their own at the start, and he's kind of berating him. tells him not to use his name.
Yeah, he's like, you're a disgrace to the force. Can't believe you're back in it. Yeah,
we've mentioned those.
Yeah. So Joe's an ex-cop. Well, we kind of did because he's of his partner.
Yeah.
So he's an ex-cop.
Yeah.
And obviously he's now
obviously the current
with his
cops
colleagues.
are not impressed with him.
Ex-colleagues.
But we don't know why. At this point, we're not explained why the cops don't like the ex-cop who's been in prison. Yeah, so they basically have a bit of a verbal set.
The only clue you've had so far, and I do apologise for jumping around a bit here,
Yeah.
is that when he was in the library, as he was walking out, the camera sort of went past a newspaper.
Yeah.
And one of the headlines on there, not the main headline, one of the smaller headlines is /cop out.
Yeah.
As in out of jail.
And
yeah.
So at this point we don't know. And then a lawyer comes in. I think is the district attorney.
Yeah, he's the DA.
Yeah. And this is a guy called Phil.
Yeah.
I didn't catch his surname. And he basically, Joe obviously thinks he's been arrested for this. And he basically explains that he hasn't been arrested and asks him if he'd like to press charges against the guys that ambushed him.
Yeah. So did you pick up why?
It's something to do with the girl, wasn't it?
The
girl was his daughter.
The girl was the DA's daughter.
Correct. That's very confusing.
And I'll go through this again. Another gripe I had with this film.
Yeah.
A lot of this is very convenient.
Yeah.
And I know it's a small town.
Yeah.
But a lot of this is far too convenient.
Yeah.
For my liking, to be honest. Agreed. And a lot of the things that happen later on as well.
Yeah.
But just to summarise, so the DA is the father of the girl who set up this ambush.
Yeah.
And he says to Joe, look, they've copped to it,
Yeah.
basically. They set you up. Do you want to press charges against them?
Yeah. And he says no, he doesn't, and so they let him go.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Is it worth mentioning, so the DA, who's Phil Coakley,
Yeah.
his appearance at this stage?
Yeah, mention it.
He is heavily scarred.
He is, yes. That's
all over his face.
Nice, polite way of putting it.
Almost like he's been slashed.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
In the very next scene, he's sitting in some bleachers in a school playing field kind of area.
Yeah. Yeah, they're outside a playing field, baseball field or whatever.
This cop comes up to him again.
Yeah, Pleasant. So Gary Cole's
character. And he's not as abusive anymore as he was. But I think that's because he's obviously got a job for it. He's a dirty cop.
He is the dirtiest of
dirty cops. And he gives him a package.
So he has obviously worked with Joe in the past.
Yeah.
Because Joe is also a completely dirty cop, or he was before he went to prison.
Yeah. And
he does. He gives him a brown envelope.
And he tells him that there's a guy called Manny.
Yeah.
Who this is the first time we've ever heard of this guy as well.
Yeah.
He's got butt cancer.
Yeah.
And as he's dying,
I forgot about
that's what he calls it.
I know he does, yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Colon cancer, maybe?
Butt cancer.
But because he's dying, this guy is starting to find religion a little bit, and
he's basically a mob boss.
I think he's
And
you think he is? You're not told this.
No.
He's dying, and he's found God, and he's starting to talk.
So all the dirty cops are worried that they're all going to get shot.
Yeah, because he kind of runs.
Deathbed.
He kind of runs the dirty cops.
Yeah.
And
but this mob boss Manny is going to basically
shop them all.
Shop them to the DA,
who is Phil.
Yeah,
so Phil's trying to make Manny talk, and Manny's going to talk because he's dying. So Gary Cole, Dan says to Joe, "You need to take Manny out.
Yeah,
you've got to be the one to do it."
He basically says, "I'm owed a favour by a guy who works with custody.
Yeah,
and I can cut you a deal.
Yeah, he says,
so you can see your
get your kids back. Yeah,
if you kill Manny.
Yeah. So then we kind of cut to the next morning, don't we? And
yeah.
He's hidden that big bag of money in his drawer in his house.
Yeah.
In his basement bedroom. And we meet his mum for the first time.
Yeah.
Who's a little pocket rocket.
She sure is.
She does not give a shit. And she wants to know what he's going to do for work. What is the future hold for Joe? And he says, look, I've only been out for a day. And she's like, yeah, but you've been out for a day. You didn't come back till dawn on the first day you've come out. We're not getting back into what we had before. So you've got to sort your shit out. That's basically what she says to him.
I wanted more of her.
Yeah, I agree.
This. Again, another gripe I had with this is that I don't want to be spoon-fed, and we've said that several times in previous episodes, but there was not enough character building of...
I've got that written down at the end.
Between the parents and him.
Yeah.
We were left filling so much.
Many.
And it was just... All we got was literally a caricature of her being angry at him because he'd done what he'd done. He'd gone to prison. He's lost his family, and because there's some decent acting in this, and I think there was a lot more scenery these people could have chewed.
Agreed.
and I don't think they had the opportunity.
Agreed. You've basically got an insolent child, an angry mother, and a dad who just wants everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't go anywhere from that. But there is quite a nice bit here. They're both sitting at the kitchen table, and they're having a massive row about what he's going to do with his life.
Yeah.
And he says to her, "Look, have you seen this?" And it's the sober chip that he's got. And she says, "I'm not going to be impressed by something when you can't even drink in jail anyway."
Yeah,
exactly. She's like, that doesn't impress me.
She is starting at a complete... She's giving him nothing. So
Absolutely
there's no, like...
nothing.
I don't know, not congratulations, but what am I trying to say? There's no, like, oh, you're out, well done, you've survived prison. Yeah. It's like, you are starting from nothing here, pal.
Yeah.
You've got to prove yourself to it.
Out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not impressed by this token that you've got because you couldn't have had a drink anyway. And
but we've added that on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's all in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That a lot of that is the subtext, and it wasn't... I wanted more of that. This was a quick film. This was hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the rare occasions where I could have... Another 15 minutes on this film would have improved it.
It benefits from more explanation and maybe even a couple of flashback scenes.
Just a bit more of the character stuff.
Just let me know what he did. Because this whole thing with Billy Caldwell is really never explained.
Oh, with his partner, yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we'll get there at the end. Yeah. But anyway, after that scene with his mum and dad, he goes to visit Phil, who's the DA.
Yeah.
And Phil's having none of it as well. He's like, "Nah, I'm not interested," because he's trying to explain himself again.
Yeah.
And basically, Phil pulls a gun on him. And he's like, "No, get the fuck off my property.
Away from us. Yeah.
Get out of here." He's like, I think he said you've got a 100-yard exclusion zone around my house. You're not allowed anywhere near it.
Because you slashed me up.
Yeah, possibly, we think. So he goes to see Manny.
Yeah, mob boss
Manny, who's basically an old man in a bed.
He's on palliative care, basically, isn't he? End of life care.
He's hooked up to loads of machines. He's got nothing about him. And they have a bit of a chat, bit of a reminisce, bit of a talk about the old times.
Well, Joe asks him directly, were you involved in the death of Billy, my partner?
Yeah.
And Manny denies it.
Completely. And eventually Joe tries to smother him with a pillow.
Yeah.
And he's basically forcing this pillow down. But the whole time he's doing it, the camera's focused on the door.
Yeah.
And you can hear somebody come in. And he basically doesn't have enough time.
He
gets caught out. He gets caught by the end of life.
Well, he doesn't get caught.
Well, he doesn't get caught. No, he stops. Yeah. And he manages to get everything back to normal before this nurse comes in, who was called Charlotte. And she is actually the mother from Lost in Space.
Oh, okay.
So she's in that. So all these Netflix people kind of stick together, I think.
Yeah.
There's loads of... Because that's Robert Forster's been in something else on Netflix. She has. The mum's in Bird Box. Everybody has, except for the guy who plays Joe.
Must be the top of the file of facts.
Yeah. It's like, it's like ITV dramas always used to have Robson and Jerome in. So he leaves and he goes outside and he bumps into Junior.
Yeah.
Who is Manny's son.
He's got a couple of thugs.
And
this guy's a psychopath.
Yes, he's not.
He's got like small man syndrome, hasn't
completely.
he? He's a little balding guy with glasses who just wants to kill everyone, and he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he just kicks Joe in the balls.
Kicks him straight in the nuts. Just out of nowhere. No protecting. Joe just goes down like a sack of shit. He's basically just shouting at him, isn't he? Telling him, "You're not welcome here. Get off my property."
He's like, "How can you see my father when I'm not allowed in that house?"
Yeah.
You know,
he's not impressed. And so basically, and there's a bit of a chase scene because Joe says to Junior, "Is your dad a rat?" And the two guys just run after him, and there's a bit of a chase scene through the gardens, isn't there?
Joe flower pots exploding around him and things like that.
Yeah, tries to run back to his truck as fast as he can. And he does manage to get away. And he heads to a coffee shop where he bumps into the nurse, Charlotte, again.
Yeah, so was it by accident, or did you get that he was...
I think he was
following.
I think he was intentionally trying to...
Yeah.
Because he was definitely trying to befriend her to get to Manny.
Yeah.
At the beginning. I don't think it ended up like that. So yeah, I think it was...
So I took it that he'd followed her, or he'd been tailing her.
But he makes out like it's a coincidence that they've bumped into each other. And they sit and have a coffee together. But while they're having a coffee, some man comes up and spits in his drink.
Yeah, just come and absolutely hocks a loogie in Joe's coffee.
Right into his coffee.
And when that happened to you?
Yeah.
No, it didn't really.
I said, yeah. Yeah, I do.
And he's just like, "You are a worthless
punk.
You absolute piece of shit."
Yeah, but the nurse he's sitting with this woman at this table who's never met him before,
No.
doesn't know anything about him. She doesn't really question it.
No, and the guy gobs in his coffee.
Yeah, he does
And
it twice. He gobs again just before he leaves.
Yeah, he says his piece and then he gobs in it again, walks off, and then Joe goes, "So,
And they just carry on as if nothing had happened.
any chance I can take you out on another date?"
I was like, has she not seen that? She missed that.
Now-
What's gone on there?
And again, I had issues with her character as well.
Oh, completely.
I'll come to later on, chiefly. But now I know women like a bad boy, but
That's
give
a
this
warning
woman
sign.
some credit.
That's a warning sign, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like, this man's had his coffee spat in. He's not a good guy. 'Cause I think the other guy was a cop. Was he? He said he was an ex-cop. I think.
It's like as soon as she met, I know he's Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, but he's uglied up.
Yeah, definitely.
He's haggard. He's
It-
got a
it
terrible
reminded me-
haircut.
It reminded me a little bit of Nick Cage in Between Worlds.
Yeah, he's got this unkempt goatee beard.
Yeah.
He's wearing bowling shirts that are 6 sizes too
big for him.
And, she needs a pair of Wellingtons because she's that soaked down there as soon as he turns up. It's like...
Dude, what parents listen to this?
Mine don't, we're all right.
My parents like you.
And it just didn't ring true.
No, it didn't. It was so out of character. It was, not even out of character. It was just out of humanity. Nobody would stay there.
Yeah.
It was weird. Then he heads to a strip club at that point, just because later on in the film he needs a stripper, so we have to introduce the strip club earlier. And basically does some drugs with the guy who owns it, and that's a little throwaway scene that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, well, the only reason it's there because it sets up something later.
Yeah,
Because
he
the
needed a
guy,
stripper later
the guy,
on.
yeah, the guy
So-
at the strip club says, if you ever want to go on Tony, basically,
Yeah.
come and tell me, and we'll sort something out.
Yeah. That is just completely shoehorned in because we had to introduce the strip club. And then he goes back home again and he has another row with his mum. Same sort of thing as they've done before now.
Yeah.
I think that's their third one.
Yeah.
And then he goes on a date again with the nurse because they'd asked each other out at the end of that, hadn't they? The end of that coffee date. And they decide to go on a date, proper date.
They go dancing.
They do. They go for a bit of a dance. And then they go back to her house or her flat or apartment or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you actually do get a bit of explanation.
Yes.
But it's a very little bit of
It's
explanation.
a bit of like a voiceover, isn't it?
Yeah.
As they're like walking around the house and...
Yeah. It's a bit. She says she knows who he is.
Yeah, because
And-
it's a small town.
And she'd seen that. I think she'd seen that news report. And she basically asks him what happened. So he says all he says is that he hurt a lawyer badly.
Yeah, he
That's
said there was a
basically what he
fight.
said. There was
I
a
got in a
fight.
fight.
And I hurt this with a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I hurt him. And that's basically all the explanation you get in the whole film. That's the only scene of explanation of what actually happened. Then he takes a call from Dan,
Yeah.
who's the cop.
Lieutenant Pleasant.
Yeah, and he basically... Lieutenant Pleasant. That sounds like a cartoon character.
It does, doesn't it?
And he basically says to him, why isn't Manny dead yet? If you can't kill Manny, you're going to have to kill Phil,
Yeah, the DA.
the DA.
The guy you slashed.
Because that's who Manny's talking to.
Yeah.
So you've basically got to stop this conversation happening. Doesn't matter which side of it you kill.
Yeah, kill the rat or kill the person the rat's going to confess to.
Yeah, kill Phil. So he really easily breaks into Phil's house,
Yeah.
even though he's been told to stay away from it. Knows exactly where Phil keeps his gun, gets Phil's gun, points the gun at Phil's head as he's asleep, and then leaves.
He can't
Doesn't
do
kill
it.
Phil. Even though he had tried to kill Manny earlier.
Yeah.
He can't kill Phil. Kill Phil sounds like Kill Bill.
It's the sequel. No, it would be like...
The B-movie remake.
It's probably the porn version or something.
Yeah, so he basically leaves Phil's house and doesn't kill him. And then he gets a phone call to say that he's...
This is the bit I had to put subtitles on.
Right, okay.
So I couldn't understand what the hell this phone call was saying to him.
Basically, I think it was a random drugs test.
Yeah,
He got a phone
it
call
was his
saying-
parole officer,
Yeah,
basically.
he got a phone call from his parole officer saying, you're going to be hit with a random drugs test today.
He was saying, you've got this...
got-
Well, where are you,
Yeah, you've
basically?
got to come in and get it done.
Get in there now.
Obviously, he's not going to pass that.
No, because he was taking drugs.
And drinking. So he goes to meet our friend Scotty,
Yeah.
who's Mason Blair, because he needs a clean piss sample.
Yeah.
And he knows that... Was Scotty an ex-Marine?
Yes.
Even Mason Blair. Now, if you've seen Mason Blair, it does not look like an
No
ex-Marine.
way. He looks... I've already mentioned this program once, but he does look a bit like Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He does. He looks like a dad.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. Yeah, and so, but this guy's an ex-Marine, and so he doesn't do drugs, doesn't drink, so he will have a clean piss. And he basically takes his piss, doesn't he? Takes
Lovely.
the piss. Kind of goes to the cop shop, the police station, hands in this piss sample, and that's the end of that. And that's all there just because he needed to be at the police station, because Dan turns up again.
Get out into the car park.
Yep.
And Dan Pleasant tases him.
It does.
And this was the best bit in the film.
It was completely the best bit in the film.
And Gary Cole just chews a bit more scenery for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And he tells Joe, you've got 36 hours to get this done.
Yeah.
Because Manny is going to go in for a deposition.
Yeah.
And he's going to confess everything.
Yeah, you've got till Monday morning at 6 a.m, he says.
Yeah.
But then he threatens Joe's parents.
He does.
He says...
he said, it'd be a shame if anything happened.
Be shame I know where your parents live. It would be a real shame if anything happened to them. So Joe realises at this point he needs to do something. There's no way you can get access to Manny.
Yeah.
We're keeping you up.
That's fine.
There's no way he can get access to Manny, and he can't kill Phil. So he has to come up with a plan. So he comes up with this plan to get Phil on tape with a prostitute.
Yeah.
To kind of discredit him.
Good old-fashioned sex tape.
Yeah. Get him on solicitation charges.
Blackmail.
Yeah. So he needs to get hold of a lady who will help him out in this. So he heads back to the strip club.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
We know just the person.
We know this stripper. So we meet this stripper who's called
Tony.
And we also meet her dad briefly, because while she's dancing in the strip club, I think this happened earlier on.
Yeah, it did.
While she's dancing in the strip club, this man's obviously standing quite close, and her dad just beats the crap out of this bloke and gets chucked out. So we already know she's got a protective dad. But she says to him, "I'll do this for you for $1,000." Or does he offer her $1,000? I think there's $1,000 comes into it.
So she says, "I've been with Phil
before.
I wouldn't do it again." And Joe says, "Would you do it for $1,000?" She says, "Well, actually, yeah,
I'll do it for $1,000." So Joe kind of leaves it at that night. That's what he's going to do. So he goes to see the nurse again, and whilst he's with her, the lady calls him, and she says, "I've spoken to Phil. It's on."
Yeah.
Basically, tonight we'll do it tonight. It's this motel that we always go to.
This is our room number.
This is the room that we go to because it's got a big bed. And so Joe heads to this hotel room and he sets up some camcorders.
It's a well dicey motel, isn't it? I imagine that I don't know if these are still existing anymore, but where you've seen in those sort of 70s and 80s films where they could put a quarter in the bedded massage.
It reminded me of when Milhouse's dad goes to live when his wife.
Yeah. Maya
Quimby. Simpsons.
Yeah. When Maya Quimby's seen with Miss Springfield coming out of that sort of motel.
So Joe goes in. He's got some really big old camcorders that he duct tapes under sideboards and TV cabinets, and sets them all up, gets them running, and he's got a separate room a bit further down the corridor.
Yeah, just to keep an eye on things.
So he heads into there. He's kind of watching out of the window, and then Phil shows up a bit later on and kind of heads up the stairs, heads into the room. But as soon as he goes into the room, another man follows.
Yeah.
And this is obviously that hooker's dad, or prostitute, stripper.
Lady of the night.
This is that lady of the night's dad, and he kind of bursts into the room, and the door slams behind him, and then within a few seconds, there's 2 gunshots go off.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit's gone down here. Is Phil dead? Because that would solve all of Joe's problems. He would be dead, and he wouldn't have killed him. But unfortunately, Phil comes running out of the room.
Yeah, it turns out he's a badass.
It turns out he's a badass, and he legs it. He gets in his car and drives off. So Joe kind of runs down the corridor, gets into the room, and finds that both the stripper and her dad are both dead.
And the camera is gone.
And the camera's gone. So
it's all falling apart.
It's all falling apart around his ears. So Phil obviously knows now that somebody's trying to set him up. And also Phil's now killed 2 people. Then he heads back home. Oh, this is where his dad gives him that weird book.
Yeah, he's basically...
His dad gives him a book called Understanding the Narcissistic Personality Disorder.
He's like, I didn't know where there was a name for what you are.
Yeah.
And then he basically tells him he's got to leave by the morning.
Yeah, his dad says, look, this isn't your fault, this is potentially my fault, but it's too late. There's nothing I can do to help now. You've got to go. Your mum wants you out, I want you out.
Yeah.
Give me the keys to my truck back, and you've got to leave in the morning. So he says you've got to leave in the morning, and Joe says, I'm leaving now. Yeah. A proper teenage strap.
It is, it really is.
And so he heads down to his room to get his money, but his money's not there.
His parents have been snooping around.
His parents have been hiding his shit.
Shifted the dirty money.
Yeah, so his mum comes home at this point as well. And
yeah, so
it all kicks off.
Yeah, things start getting thrown.
He's throwing things around the house.
He's looking for this money. He's upturning.
He goes into their bedroom. He's throwing stuff around in their bedroom. She's screaming. Robert Forster's just standing in the background, not screaming, but just looking angry,
just acting.
Yeah, but as he's throwing stuff around, he uncovers some photographs of his children.
Yeah,
who are older in these photographs and with the grandparents.
Yeah,
so they've been lying to. They've got some letters as well. I think
they have.
That the kids have written to him that they haven't passed on.
This is the first of about 4 or 5 twists now.
Yeah, the last
and it's
20...
the best one.
Yeah, it is. The last 15 minutes of this film, it does proper ramp up.
And it might be the only one that was needed.
Yeah, completely.
To be honest.
Completely.
Yeah, because this did give a good... This did shift the characters, and it made you think, oh, actually, I do get a bit more where the parents are coming from now.
Yeah.
Because they have a relationship with these kids.
Yeah.
And they don't want this guy to just come and fuck it all up.
Fuck it all up again. So his mum actually says to him, the best thing that ever happened to those girls was losing you.
Yeah.
And just as she says that, neck explodes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say that like that because
old neck explosion.
Because that sounds like it was going to be a really exciting moment, but it wasn't.
No.
It was just like she just stood there, and then blood started pouring out of her neck because she got shot. There was somebody had done a drive-by on the house, and they were shooting through all the windows shattered. But it was so undramatic.
The china's broken.
Yeah. Robert Forster and Joe were lying around on the floor. His mum's been shot in the neck, but it was so undramatic when his mum got shot.
Yeah.
Nobody reacted.
No.
She didn't even go down.
No.
She just stood there. Yeah, and so the house gets all shot up, and they head to the next scene. You see them, and they're in a hospital, and Joe's dad and Joe are sitting there, and Joe basically, his dad says to him, "Do you know who did this?" And Joe says it could have been Dan or it could have been Junior. I don't know.
Yeah, and his dad goes, "Aren't they your friends?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" You know he's been in all this crap, and you think
his dad was a bit of a drip, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
No.
Didn't like it.
So he goes back to see his nurse girlfriend again. They have a bit of a kiss this time.
So he tells her a little bit more, doesn't he?
Yeah, he tells her a bit more.
But it's just snatches here and there. So he says he was working, he was basically on Manny's payroll.
Yeah.
As a dirty cop.
Yeah.
And so was Pleasant.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of work together, and he says we did some things.
Yeah.
Things
he basically says,
things.
if Manny talks, I'll get the death penalty.
Yeah.
That's what he says. So he says, I need to stop Manny talking to Phil.
And she tells him that he still has a choice. He can still be a good person.
Yeah.
And so my question for you at this point, did you buy this relationship?
No.
Because all the way through, I'm thinking, even here, he's just trying to con
Get to Manny.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
But
which is why the next scene makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I don't think the film did a good job of that subtext.
No, it didn't at all. It was completely went over everybody's head, I think.
But I don't know if it's because NCW wasn't acting great, or if it's just the writing. But
I think it's bad writing.
I just didn't like it.
I think this film suffers from bad writing all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably part of it.
I thought you'd like this film.
I thought you would.
Really?
Yeah. I genuinely thought we were going to have arguments about this.
So did I, but I thought I was going to be the one that didn't like it.
Well, let's get to the end.
Okay.
We're getting there. Because what happens in the next scene? After they've had this conversation about how Joe will get the death penalty, bearing in mind he's only talking to the nurse because he needs to get to Manny. He doesn't really care for her. That's what I'm reading into it.
Yeah.
What does she do?
She goes and suffocates Manny because she's totally high on dick.
Yeah.
Basically.
Basically, yeah. I've written on my notes, the fucking nurse killed Manny. Because, in big capital letters, because it makes no sense at all.
She's been on 2 dates with this guy.
Yeah, she can't have fallen for him that hard that she's prepared to kill for it. It made me angry.
Me too, because that scene before,
it makes no sense.
It did not come across like the character of Joe was not a good enough actor.
No.
To be convincing.
A well-rounded enough character.
Yeah, to be convincing enough that she was buying this, saying, "Oh, you've still got a choice." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I really didn't like this.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that bit at all. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
As she is suffocating him.
Yep.
She has obviously not got as good ears as Joe had earlier on.
No.
Because we get the same shot turning to the door of the bedroom.
Yeah.
And Junior is standing there.
Yes.
And he has seen Charlotte murder his father.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Meanwhile, Joe slept through the whole thing. He's still in bed.
He's still in bed in her house. So the cat kind of hears she's got a cat.
Yeah.
The cat kind of hears somebody
She's a cat
coming.
lady.
She's a cat lady, yeah. The crazy cat lady, apparently. The cat makes a really weird noise and it hears somebody come in and
barks. It doesn't really.
It's like squawks.
Yeah.
And 2 guys kind of burst in and kind of kidnap him.
Yeah, it's Junior's thugs. Who we saw earlier on.
And take him and put him in the back of a car with Junior. And Junior tells him that Manny is dead.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a conversation about that, don't they? And that the nurse did it. He tells him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Did it. Yeah.
So your girlfriend did it.
Yeah, and then he cuts his mouth.
Yeah, he turns around and slashes him with a.
Did he cut his tongue off?
No, I think he just slashed his lip.
He just cut his. He had a standing knife. He just cut his lip with it a little bit.
He just cut it.
I was like, has he just cut his tongue off? I can't tell if he has or not.
No, he sliced his lip open and Joe screams and Junior just says, "You sound like she did."
Yeah.
You'll see her again soon.
Yeah, and so they go out into the middle of nowhere kind of.
It's like a junkyard type thing.
Yeah.
Like it always is.
Yeah, it is. And the feeling is that Junior's going to kill Joe out in this junkyard.
Yeah.
And the nurse is already there somewhere, dead. But just as all this is about to kick off, another car pulls up.
Yeah. So they've got Joe out onto the ground. They're about to do whatever they're going to do with him.
Yeah. And it's Scotty Caldwell.
Yeah.
Macon Blair shows up with a great big submachine gun.
He does.
And starts shooting the shit out of
a mostly empty bottle of vodka.
Yeah. And he starts absolutely firing bullets randomly all over the place.
Yeah, I think he takes out one thug straight away.
Yeah, one goes down. I think Joe headbutts one to death.
He does.
That's the second time we've seen somebody get headbutted to death this season. Because Dolph Lundgren did it in Blackwater.
He did, yeah.
Junior takes a bullet to the head.
He does.
He gets shot. And Scotty takes a shot as well. He gets shot in the chest. Yeah. But he's got like a bulletproof vest on, but still hurt. Then Joe kind of gets him back into his car. It moves so fast at this point.
No, so before he does that, he
go on.
So no, it's fine. So I don't know how he knew where to go.
Yeah,
maybe he knows because of some of the bad things he's done earlier in his life. And maybe he's been to this junkyard before. Like we say, it's a small town. He seems to know exactly where he's going. So he walks down a small path and he finds a hatch.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
so
I forgot about the hatch.
He opens up the hatch, and we're looking up at Joe from inside the hatch. We never see what's in it. We just hear a load of flies buzzing around.
Hear fly noises. I'm assuming that's Charlotte's body.
I presume she has been stuffed down there.
Yeah,
because he walks straight away. He walks away.
He does, and we never see her again. So
no.
I'm going to assume that's what goes on. And then he gets Scotty into his car, kind of taking him to hospital. I think the assumption is, and they have a bit of a chat on the way. And Scotty says to him that you put Billy on the tracks because Junior told you to.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. I'm not going to lie. I'm nearly.
So what I took from this is that so Phil, the DA, told Scotty that Joe killed Billy.
Right, because Junior told him to.
Yeah.
But what does at the tracks mean? Did he get run over by a train?
Either that or that's where he did the deed.
That's what I mean. You never know. No. There's a big old plot point for this film. And you never. That scene there is prime for a flashback. That's where we should have found out what happened to both him and.
I think he would have given this a lot more impact.
Agreed.
And whether that was down to sort of budget or whatever, or I'm not sure. And then Joe says to Scotty, did you shoot up my house?
Yeah.
And Scotty says, yeah, I did.
Yeah. I did,
so Joe just parks the car up and
leaves him to die. But so here's a question: why, if Scotty's shooting up Joe's house, presumably with the intention to kill Joe, why is he saving him?
We don't know. He was. You could argue he was there to just take he was pissed. He didn't care who he was killing.
Oh, you could argue that, I suppose.
I'm not trying to defend it, but that's probably what I'd say.
He definitely needed to kill Junior. I get that.
Yeah.
But why didn't he kill Joe as well? But hey-o.
Again, it's just convenient.
Then
Joe was the one he didn't get.
Yeah. So just after he leaves Scotty in this wooded area, he gets a phone call from Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
I've only just used that.
I don't know.
This bit made me laugh.
I hated this.
I hated this so much.
I hated how many bows and ribbons this was tied up in conveniently.
Yeah. Basically, Lieutenant Dan rings him and tells him that Phil's dead.
Yeah.
Because when he left the hotel, he was driving his car at speed and looking at the camera that Joe had left there.
Yeah.
And watching the footage. We do get a bit of a flashback here. Because you can see him watching the footage and you see Joe's face come up on the camcorder of when he was setting it up. And then he crashes his car.
Yeah, he gets taken out at an intersection.
Yeah.
So Joe's off the hook.
Yeah.
Both of them are dead.
The film's all tied up nicely. Manny's dead. Phil's dead. Scott's dead. Junior's dead. The nurse is dead. His mum survived, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like that bit at all.
I didn't like it. Didn't need it.
It didn't need it. Because Manny was dead, so Phil didn't need to be dead. I'd completely forgotten he even existed.
Yeah.
So he goes home. He's trying to find the money in this house.
Yeah.
Which he finds straight away this time. And his dad tells him that his dad comes in and interrupts him trying to ransack in the house and tells him that his mum will live, so she's going to survive this gunshot in the neck. And Joe says to him, "Look, I've got this money. I'm going to give it to the girls. I'm going to go and see them one last time."
Yeah.
And they give him this money, and they'll never see me again. And his dad basically says to him, "Over my dead body, are you ever going to see those two girls?"
Yeah, he says you are to stay away from them, and basically you've got to get past me if you
Yeah.
You are not.
Siri, we're nearly the end.
It didn't say anything that sounded like Siri. And he says, yeah, you're going to have to come past me.
Yeah, he basically says over my dead body, you're not going to see those two girls even to
he
give them money.
He steps to Joe, basically, doesn't he?
He steps right up into his face. Yeah. And Joe kind of laughs it off and tries to step past him, and his dad steps in his way again. They have a bit of a showdown. So he pushes his dad out of the way, and he walks past him. And his dad grabs a knife from the kitchen table and stabs him in the chest.
He does.
And it's quite poignant because his dad, obviously, all the way through, didn't want to get involved. So there is quite a nice token there that he had to in the end. He had to step in. His mum wasn't there anymore, so he had to step in.
He's the hero.
Yeah,
it is one way of looking at it. He's looking after these two girls.
And he had no choice. He had to step in and
I do not trust you.
Yeah, but as he dies, Joe grabs a cloth.
Yeah.
And he wipes the fingerprints off the handle of the knife that's still sticking out of him.
Yeah.
And then wraps his own fingers around the knife. Yeah. As if he stabbed himself to kind of let his dad off the hook. And that's where your film ends.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say, but what did you think?
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all.
I found it a real struggle.
Agreed.
It made me quite angry.
It did make me angry, and very angry towards the end.
I thought it twisted and turned far too. It did not need it.
It didn't.
We didn't get enough of the good characters.
No.
And like I say, I think the only decent and worthwhile twist that this earned was the bit where he found out that that his parents had a relationship with his children, with the daughters. I hated how neatly it was all tied up for him.
Yeah.
And it did not work for me that having been all tied up that neatly, it then hit you with this other twist of he's not going to make it out the end of this film.
No.
I did not buy this guy as an anti-hero.
No, agreed.
Because he was an absolute bastard.
Yeah.
I'm glad he died.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The film made no attempt.
I really thought you'd like this.
No,
I'm gobsmacked.
I honestly thought you would. I'm really surprised. The film made no attempt to establish its characters at all. It made no attempt to develop any of the characters that it did establish. And you were expected to guess most of the story. We never know. We never found out what happened to his partner. We know he died. We don't know how, why, or who did it. We've got these little rumblings that something happened on some train tracks. You never find out really what he did to Phil and why he'd been in prison for 6 years.
Yeah.
There was literally no explanation to it. It was bullshit.
It was really cold as well, and as in it was, the characters were cold. I didn't feel anything for any of these people. No. And I remember when we, even though it was quite high up the table, I remember saying I felt a little bit like that about Hold the Dark. Which was written by the same guy. But that kind of worked for that film because it was brooding. Isolation was a whole kind of theme to that film. And this did not earn any of its twists and character moments. I didn't like it.
He really struggles with establishing characters. He has done in all 3 films that we've watched. I don't know if did he have anything to do with Murder Party? I think he was involved in the writing of that as well.
Possibly.
And he really struggles to establish good characters, and he really struggled in this, and he failed miserably. And this film the story of this film is partially saved if you just add in a couple of flashback scenes to what happened. It doesn't save the whole film, don't get me wrong, but it saves the story kind of, because you get some justification of why Scotty's so angry, why Dan is so angry with him at the beginning, although that never comes back again.
I also feel like I've just seen a lot of things do this so much better.
So much better.
So something like, and I know it's a TV series, so it's got more time, but something like Fargo.
Yeah.
Both with the movie and the the TV show, it's the same sort of small town.
Yes, very similar.
You know, this just
no, it's bullshit.
This did not enjoy this at all.
No, I didn't either. It's a real shame.
Well, actually, one of the most, not the worst thing we've seen, but one of the most disappointing things we've seen for a while.
Yeah, because it's got a heck of a cast.
I was expecting much more of it.
Yeah, I was expecting to enjoy this. I went into this looking forward to watching it, and by about halfway through, I was like, no, this is going to make me angry by the end. And it did. It made me angry by the end.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be watching films getting angry.
I'm really surprised at that. I thought you'd like it. Oh, well, there you go. I tell you what, I did find something interesting.
What's that?
Let me find it. Now, this might be absolute bullshit because it's the internet and
it's full of bullshit.
That's the internet. But so if you type this film into Google, and you know where. So if you type a film name into Google, you know where you get the bar underneath, where you've got like cast reviews, etc., etc. One of the reviews for this is by someone called Dave Zeltzerman.
Okay.
Do you know who he is?
Nope.
He wrote the book that this film is based on.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So I don't know if it's genuine or not.
Right.
But there is a Google review by someone purporting
to be him.
Shall I read it?
Yes, please.
It says, whilst not exactly my book, Evan's film does a nice job capturing the feel of my book. And while Nicolaj's Joe Denton is different than my Joe, he still feels like my Joe. I appreciate how Evan captures with a look what I might have spent pages writing about. Performances all round were great, and I particularly loved Pat Healy's maniacal laugh. Pat Healy was junior. I just thought it was interesting that he's apparently done a Google review. Yeah,
I didn't realise it was based on a book. If anybody out there's read the book, let us know if it's any good, and we'll check it out. Providing it's better than the film. Have you got a trivia question for me?
Sure, I do. So, we talked a bit about this before, actually. So we talked about this scene in the library, and as he's leaving the library at the start, the camera pans across this newspaper, and it's got that headline /cop out. So, can you tell me what the main headline on the newspaper is? What's the big story? What's the lead story?
No, I have no idea.
It's on there on screen for quite a while.
Oh, but I was concentrating on the headline I was supposed to be reading. No, that isn't in my head. No idea. Can't help you.
That is a tough one this week. It's Will the Heat Wave Ruin the Pumpkin Festival?
I remember reading it now you've said that. Damn it. Oh, okay. My question to you is, I think it's quite a simple one, but I don't know.
Oh, God.
Pressure. I don't know. What's the name of the town where this film's set?
I think it's Bradley.
I need you to elongate that. There's 2 words.
Bradleyville?
Bradleyville.
Bradley...
It's never mentioned on screen, but it is the town sign showed on screen right at the beginning of the film.
Is it?
Yeah. It says town name and then population, however.
I don't know, because I remember the newspaper was called the Bradley Caller.
You're so close.
And he's at the Bradley Central Library.
Yeah.
So you've got to give me it for that, I think.
I've not. That's not the name of the town.
I've no idea what the second bit is.
Bradley County.
That's a county. That's not the town.
That's what the town's called.
No.
Yes.
No, it's Bradley in Bradley County.
It's not at all. The town is called Bradley County. It's on the sign. Bradley County, population 1,900.
That's the county.
No.
I'm not having this. On the judge's decision.
Who's the judge?
Me.
Okay, what do you judge?
I get a point.
I'll give it you.
Thank you.
I'll give it you. You're wrong, but I'll give you it for Bradley. So what's that make the scores? 4-4?
No, 4-3 to you.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. That's fine then. You can have it. Excellent. Right, do you want to talk about the stream table?
Yes.
Okay, what sort of area should I be looking at for the stream table?
It's going to be low for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be really low for me. Do you want to go from the bottom up for a few places?
Yep.
At the bottom currently is Buster's Malhart, closely followed by Blackwater, Clinical, and The Clapper. I don't think we need to go any higher than that.
No.
I know where I want to put it straight away.
Well, I went first last time, so go for it.
I want to put it not bottom, but 1.
Really? That low?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I'd much rather watch Blackwater again.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Just read me them off again.
Buster's Malhart's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Then Blackwater.
Yeah.
Then Clinical.
Yeah.
Then The Clapper.
No, you're right. It's worse than Clinical.
It's definitely worse than Clinical. It's worse than Blackwater. It might even be worse than Buster's Malhart.
That's what I'm just thinking.
It might even be worse.
Now, I really hated that.
I really hated it. But
I think I hated this slightly less.
But Buster's Malhart knew what it was and stuck to it.
Oh, yeah, we knew it was absolutely...
It knew it was garbage.
Bonkers.
It knew it was complete bonkers. And just by that thing that you read out by the director afterwards, that she knew it was bonkers.
It was made by people who've...
Yeah,
well, I don't know what they were on, but...
That film's intentionally bonkers. This film is not intentionally shit.
This does not land any of its punches.
It doesn't.
And, no, I don't think I can quite put it bottom.
I agree, but it is really close.
Yeah.
It isn't better than Blackwater.
What this has going against it is, like I said, it feels like it underperformed.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting
A lot
this
more.
to be.
I sat
decent.
down looking forward to watching this last night.
Yeah.
And did not enjoy watching
I
it.
did not have a good time.
No.
No.
So we're going 13th. Not 13th.
15th.
15th.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second bottom.
Yeah.
Second bottom. Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
that's an
fair.
achievement.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I didn't think that we'd be sitting here putting it at
I
that
didn't.
low
I
down
genuinely
when
didn't. But
I watched this.
it's very it deserves to be there.
Yeah.
What do we do now? Pick next week's film.
Yeah, let's do that.
Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let me find my app. You ready for me to press this button?
Sure.
It has picked a film called Close. Ever heard of Close?
No.
Do you want me to read the synopsis?
Yeah, go for it.
It says, a female bodyguard is hired to protect an heiress on the run from assassins.
Okay.
Mm.
I don't want to watch that.
It's come out on the randomizer.
No, we're not watching that.
What?
I'm going to use my wild card.
No! Really?
Yep. Let's do it.
Wild card.
I got a couple in mind though. So,
You can't have two wild cards.
well, no, I can only
This
use
is
one.
I'm really excited that you're going to choose your wild card.
Okay.
It really pleased me.
Okay, so I got a couple of films in mind that I've
Okay.
noted on the list that look interesting.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to let you choose them. So, A or
That's not
B?
how it works.
Which one do you want?
Oh, B.
B. Okay, let's do some sci-fi then.
Oh,
I don't think we've done much sci-fi,
we haven't, to be
if
fair.
any, this season at all.
What are you saying?
So look for on the list, please, the Anomaly.
The Anomaly.
And if you read the
I will read the synopsis of the
synopsis
Anomaly.
out, I think we might be in for some fun.
An ex-soldier named Ryan Reeve is taken captive by the Anomaly, where he learns that he has only 9 minutes and 47 seconds to find out why they want him dead.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting. Stars Noel Clarke and Ian Somerhalder.
Let's lighten this up a bit.
And Brian Cox. Interesting.
That's not a bad cast.
That's not a bad. It's got Luke Hemsworth in as well. And Michael Bisping.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Random. What made you choose that?
Britain's Own.
Why is
Pretty
that
much
only one?
just the synopsis.
Cool. Do you want to watch the trailer?
Yeah, go for it.
I'd keep still if I were you, Ryan. Manual shutdown. 2, 1.
The crazy thing is happening to me. I wake up and I don't know how I got there.
Another transmission failure, huh?
Dr. Langer, I understand you have been experimenting in the use of bioware technology.
Your name is Ryan Reeve. You probably won't come back, but if you do, the reboot only takes 9 minutes and 47 seconds.
9 minutes, 47 seconds. You need to run now. Because if you see me again, it won't be me. Do you understand?
They own you.
First of the new breed. If you break my laws, you'll simply be switched off.
I want my life back.
So who are you?
I don't know.
There's a grand plan, Ryan. Why are you fighting it?
Who are you? You're the one controlling me. This thing that they've done to me, they're gonna do it to everyone.
You know how you control the masses? Fear.
I know what I need to do.
You may not understand this, but our ambitions are a little wider.
Wow.
Bonkers.
Did I say at the beginning it's got Liam Hemsworth in?
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh.
It's got Luke Hemsworth in.
Oh, is he the
It's
third
the
one?
third Hemsworth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
Ace.
We've not done. Have we done anything like that before?
Oh, I can't
Sci-fi.
remember. I'm trying to think back to the first series.
I don't
Did
think
we
we
do much
have.
sci-fi?
No. I'm
not
excited
sure.
for that.
I can't think.
Good pick. Okay, so go out and watch. What was that film called? The Anomaly.
Correct.
And
I've really struggled to say anomaly,
Anomaly.
so I may
Anomaly.
have chosen not very wisely.
Go out and watch The Anomaly, and we'll be back next week to talk about it.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.